Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about dealing with stress. So let's get into it. So the question in question was posted on an old video I made, which was called "What programming role is best for low stress jobs?" And the person writes, "This video is pure gold. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Frederick. I totally agree with you. Even after some good years of experience, I feel stressed from time to time. I am by default a person that suffers from anxiety and stresses for no reason, so it is quite hard to mute all those feelings. But just like you said, it's all once again, it is all you want. But like you said, it's all you once you gain the experience." Yeah, because in this video I basically try to explain to people that usually the thing that gets you stressed in the start of your career is that you don't really feel secure in your own skills. Imposter syndrome and all this stuff. This is the sort of stuff that usually hits people very hard. But the short version of that video is that when you get to a certain level of skill, it's really just you. Like, you are good. Like, you can do this thing. It's like, imagine a supermodel or like a professional athlete, like an Olympic athlete, who feels bad over that people on social media don't like how they look or something like that. Guys, like, it's about them. They are objectively beautiful. They are objectively super fit, like super all of this sort of stuff. And it's just that they're in their mind they get convinced that this is not the true, even though they're like in the top 0.1% within whatever they're doing, right? And it's the same thing with you as a software developer. If you are good at what you do, then it's really down to you. And this thought can be so empowering. By the way, do you have any tips to just stop stressing like crazy with every situation, or what is something concrete that helped you throw the stress out the window for good? Thanks. Well, what I did, first and foremost, I want to say that, guys, if you have problems like tendencies with anxieties or like depression and things like that, it's good, like, you just take it from me, talk to a doctor about it, because some people are more prone to, like, we are different when it comes to our genetics and all the things that happen within our bodies, and some people will, as this person is describing, like, you just stressed for no reason, and it's nothing weird. Go and talk to your doctor, because it might be that you might need some support, or you can get some like medicine or something like that if you feel stressed for no reason. And I can talk a little bit about how to deal with more circumstantial stress, such as you feel bad because of, well, basically performance anxieties or things like that, and sort of talk to you about how I usually deal with this. And I sort of gave away the answer pretty much in the earlier there. I had 2 lessons that I had to learn pretty much the hard way to reduce my stress down to 0. The first part was that I needed to get to a skill level where I knew, like, I'm not going to claim that I am the world's best programmer, because that's just not true. But I will claim that I know how to write software in the web space at the very least, to a point where I would be very comfortable working in practically any company at this point. I don't imagine, unless we're working on something like super theoretical or something that has a very specifically complicated problem domain. I'm not going to claim that I'm a data scientist or anything like that, far from it. But if we're building web applications, if it's stuff like that, I feel that I can hold my own. And when you get to that point where you sort of feel like you basically can go to any interview, and I do feel like that I have anxieties as well whenever I go to an interview. I hate going to interviews. It's super stressful and super, code tests and stuff like that. I always get nervous, but at some level I know that there is nothing they can throw at me in this place of work, because I've worked so many years now, led teams and like done projects and like so forth, that I know this stuff. And so that gives me a lot of comfort, not because I believe that I'm the best, but because I'm not scared anymore that I don't measure up to this, you have that voice in the back of your head, right, telling you that you're not good enough, or that you have to be good enough, or you compare yourself to some senior who's been working for years and years, and you think that, oh shit, he or she, they're so good and I'm so bad. That voice gets very quiet when you get to that realization that actually, you know what, I'm one of the people who I used to look up to now, or rather I have juniors now who might look at me and go, oh shit, I wish I was as good as Fredrik. And I kid, whenever I hear that stuff, when I talk to them, I go, you have no idea that I felt exactly like you. I can point at this other guy, like you have mentioned him a few times. Like, I used to look up to another guy, and he was, I was in my late 20s, and he was in his early 50s, and I mean, I still look up to him now. Not maybe like I'm a little bit more grown up now, but still, like I have my people that I looked up to, and so now you know it's the it's that chain, right? Someone else comes after, and you teach them, and so forth. So that's the first thing that really helped me, and that's unfortunate. That sucks, that answer, because it can basically only mean one thing for you, and that is you just have to trudge through being bad at what you do. But then again, that's what I also tell people. If you want to get anywhere, you have to be okay with sucking at it. It's that simple. Doesn't matter what it is. You should see all the things that and I still do, guys. I have been doing things for most of my life that I suck at. I'm a little bit better at some of it now, but I keep on sucking at it, and it's really the only way, in my opinion, at the very least, to get anywhere with anything. So that's the one thing I can give you as a junior software developer if you're watching this. If you have anxieties and so forth over performance, the only way through this is to just go. Like, just continue. Like, learn, and try to adopt as much as knowledge as possible, because sooner or later you're going to learn these things. It's just a matter of time. The other thing that helped me to deal with stress was when I realized, and this was a very expensive lesson, it put me through probably one of the worst periods of my adult life, where basically I had to learn the hard way that it doesn't really matter if I know best, or I'm doing quotation marks now, if I quote unquote know best, because if my boss or team lead or whoever I'm dealing with is hell-bent on making a mistake, I will just turn myself into persona non grata if I try to remedy the situation and I try to push it. The thing that was tough for me was because I basically got to a point where most of the time I had the proper strategy. I could concretely show better results than what most of my peers could at that time, or I could produce things and sort of show that this is a better solution than this other thing. That doesn't matter when you're dealing with a person who is, also of course of the mind that they know best, especially when they don't like you very much, because all of a sudden this rivalry comes up because of, as I said, you might have a different opinion, you might want to do things in a different way, and then of course there's friction or something like that starts happening. And I learned about myself that I have a tendency, when I feel that we're basically, we're producing really shit results and I have no way of fixing the situation, I have no power, I can't get anybody to listen to me, it starts festering, and I start feeling resentment, and my inner voice gets very loud, and I just get more and more angry over and frustrated over the situation, and that festers and basically just causes more and more issues, which sort of spreads outside of me, and all of a sudden I have my boss just gets more and more angry with me, even though I'm angry with him or her as well, and it just causes more and more problems. And so the thing that I learned was to basically, it actually happened, it sounds horrible, but I had this moment when I was working, and this was a while back now. I was sitting in this room with this person who, and this was not even a technical person, this was literally a person who has never written a single line of software in their entire life. And this woman spoke to me for 2 hours and tried to explain to me, and she was a little bit patronizing, I would suggest. And I don't know what happened, but she kept on going on, and I sat there and I tried to get a single word in 2 hours. I couldn't get it in because I knew the answer to all of it. And so she and some other dude, they were talking, and I had this picture where I don't know, it just switched for me, and I started seeing this woman more and this man basically as kid versions of themselves in grown-up clothes, who were just arguing back and forth. They weren't actually, the meeting was pointless. We weren't making any progress whatsoever. And I just came to this realization that it's sort of like me trying to convince my boss or like whoever who has this idea that they know everything best. Like it's like trying to explain to a kid that no, they actually don't know best. They're not going to listen to you. And I don't know, I just let go of the frustration. I realized that actually, why am I trying? Like, I've done my part. I've tried to explain to them what I believe is the right solution. They're not willing to listen to me. So what should I do? Well, I can get angry over that the world won't change just because I want it to change and get frustrated and stressed and like build up all this resentment. Or I can just say, all right, I will now make sure that the incompetence that is going to like the thing that this thing that's going to go bad now, that at the very least I'm safe from the repercussions of this thing going bad. And so if they are hell-bent on sinking this ship, alright, then I will make sure that I have a lifeboat. And instead of spending my energy on fighting with someone who doesn't want help, it's like a doctor trying to force a patient to take medicine, I will simply try to get to a point where I realize that actually, if I feel that this situation is so frustrating that I can't deal with the fact that I'm going to have to work together with someone who basically can't do the job or something like that, then I should walk away before I get that angry. Or I should work on figuring out that actually, why do I care if they blow this thing up? And never get in bed with, or never get into a partnership with someone who's going to cause that sort of situation. That helped a lot, and it was very expensive for me to learn that, because I would stick to things even when I hated every single moment of it, and I didn't realize until much later that instead of sitting there being angry over that this thing is going on, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to suffer? Why do I suffer trying to help someone who does not want that help? So what I want you to take away from this is that my 2 tips for you if you want to reduce your stress is, number 1, get really good at what you do. That's a tough one because it's going to take a while, but it usually helps a lot with stress, because when you know that you know what you're like, how to do all the things, then it's not usually your fault if the deadlines are not met or like things are not going the way they're going, because you are only one person in a team or an ecosystem of other things that are going on. And if you really know your stuff and you do a really good job, then logic dictates that there's more going on. That's something that's tough in the beginning to understand as a junior, but the reality is, guys, that it's very rarely just your fault if you don't meet a deadline or something like that, especially, as I said, when you do actually know that you write really good software or something like that. Second thing is, don't let frustration and resentment and people not hearing you or so forth build up inside of you. Learn to realize that actually just tell them what you believe, like share your thoughts and your opinion, and be fine with that some people are not going to listen to you. Just as you will, it's like telling someone who smokes, you shouldn't be smoking. Alright, if they want to smoke, fine, let them smoke. But don't be, don't try to force something on them that they're not looking for, because you're just going to build up resentment and anger in yourself, and it's very likely that people are going to start hating your guts for it. And the quicker you get to that point, as I said, when you realize in yourself that the reason why you're fighting with these people is because, they're stupid or your idea is better, etc., etc., the quicker you will realize that you're wasting energy. That's all you're doing, because they're not going to like what you have to say, and even if you are right, that doesn't change anything. So it's better for you to just relax, let that go, and if it really bothers you, do the thing that I was really bad at doing. Walk away earlier. Don't spend years trying to improve the situation and get shot down over and over if when it bothers you that much. Just walk away. Have a great day.